every day or on a daily basis. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Swati. I'm an executive power coach and a certified posture expert. So, let's talk about what are the postures that you should avoid on an everyday basis. Now, as a kid, when I was growing up, I had really bad posture. I was like slumped over, rounded shoulders, etc. The usual mix of postural issues that you'd find in kids with really heavy school bags. It took me quite some time to get over it. So, but then this is a long term postural issue that I had. But what is it that you can do in your everyday life to avoid postural issues or aches and pains that result from a poor posture? So the first one that I have here, yes, I've got notes there. So the first one I have is sitting or standing when you're slumped to one side. So you won't believe the number of people who actually sit on their wallets, right? Especially men, because when you've got your wallet in your back pocket and you are sitting on it, obviously you're not balanced out, you are lopsided, right? So what happens is your pelvis is not balanced, and then you're sitting in a tilted fashion, and that basically changes everything, the alignment of your whole spine, everything from above the pelvis just changes. Okay, now I have seen many people who are actually standing slumped to one side. So for example, if you're carrying a heavy load, or if you're a mom and you carry your little one on one side, what will happen is you'll stick your bottom out a little bit and you will hold your baby onto one side, right? So what that does is all the body weight, well, most of the body weight will come towards one side, whereas the other side doesn't have that equal distribution of body weight. So what happens in that scenario when you're standing with your weight to one side, or you're holding your infant on or kid on one side, what happens is your spine is now curved towards that one side where your weight is. Your pelvis is definitely shifted away from the midline. And basically, in simple terms, what that means is your joints are not in neutral, they're more prone to injury, and you have a poor posture there. Okay. So that can lead to a lot of other issues and a lot of muscular imbalances. Basically, that all translates to more pain and discomfort. Okay. Another thing I see people is twisting and bending their spine at the same time. So if you have a lot of things that you keep at a lower surface, try and raise the level of those things. And also with the twisting, obviously you don't want to be bending and twisting. That's like a sure shot recipe for injury. Not all the time. It's not 100% guarantee you will get injured, but it's definitely putting a lot of stress on your spine, and you want to avoid that. Another thing I see, another variation of this that I've seen, is people who have a desk where you have your laptop or your monitor right in the middle. You've got a printer on one side, you've got your, say if you're using landline phones, that's on one side, or your books on one side. People will twist. Okay, people will twist to pick up the book, come back here, turn towards the printer, come back to line. Now, when that happens, there is a lot of twisting on your spine, especially if you have a slump posture, already have a slump posture, and then you're twisting. This is a typical example of twisting and bending your spine at the same time. So what happens here is, obviously you've got all the stresses and the same thing that I repeated for the first one, but what you can do is, a simple solution is, most of us are using office chairs, right? So the ones with the wheels. So if you want to actually turn towards, say, this side to pick up your books, or say you're working on your printer, you go this side and you turn your whole chair so your body's facing this way, and not just, you're not doing this turn here. So your body is fully facing that side, so you're in neutral. You do what you have to do, then you come back to the center. Similarly, the other side. Okay. And yeah, that's a simple solution, right? Just get into the habit of turning that chair around rather than twisting your body. And if you are using your dining chair or a stationary chair, you're still working from home, I think it's a good investment to get one of those chairs with the wheels, right? They don't cost you a whole bomb, but then they will save you a lot of trouble in the future. Um, One last one that I want to cover is standing with your knees in hyperextension. So what does hyperextension mean? It's a terminology that I'd like to explain. So suppose this is, okay, this is obviously my hand, but imagine if this is your knee, right? This is in neutral. This is your foot area here and your hip is up here. So if this is your knee and you are standing with your knee bent, you are like this, right? You're bending. However, this is neutral. If you stand with your knee pushed backwards, so if you are going to extend your knees backward more than that neutral 0 degrees, that is called hyperextension. Many people do that. And usually they'll do it more on one side than the other. The first reason could be that they are putting too much weight on one leg compared to the other. So firstly, check. If you're doing this, go and look in a mirror, right? So if you're doing this, then check, are you actually putting equal weight on both sides? Do you have one short limb and the other, I mean the leg, one short and one tall? Or are you just in the habit of bearing more weight onto one side? So what is happening there? And the trick to not doing this is to keep your knees soft. When I say soft, it means you keep your knees in 5 to 10 degrees of bent position or flexion. So if this is neutral, this is bending backwards. So this is the back of your body, this is the front of your body. So instead of going here, you want to come to neutral and you want to come to about a 5 to 10 degree bend here, not absolutely straight, but a 5 to 10 degree bend at the knee. That means keeping your knee soft. So when that happens, you don't exert so much pressure on the back of the knee. So your hamstrings and your calf, that is the back of your thigh and the back of your calf, is the muscles there are not so stressed. Okay. Otherwise, those muscles become shortened and tight, and your quadriceps tend to get weaker with time. And of course, these are the muscles that control the movement all around your knee joint, and then you have issues in your knees, right? Maybe not today, maybe a few years down the line. So it is so simple to avoid this. And yeah, so this is, oops, I think, sorry, one sec, I think my Instagram just stopped there. Okay, so these are the three things that I wanted to talk to you about. So first was, do not sit slumped towards one side. Make sure you are putting equal pressure on both the buttocks of both sides of your bottom. If you're standing, don't carry your baby or your toddler on just one side. Maybe you can change sides, right? And if they really like to be carried, maybe get one of those seats where you can actually, I think it's called a hip seat, not a baby carrier. This is like, okay, maybe the moms who have younger kids can tell me, but this is like a seat where you prop your toddler on and you put it like a belt across your waist. So your toddler's in the middle. So it's like carrying a heavy load in the middle of your body and not on one side. Okay. The second was twisting and bending. So if you have things that are spread out over your desk, turn your chair every time rather than twisting from your spine. You turn your chair towards one side. Okay. And third was standing with your knees hyperextended. So you want to keep your knees soft. You don't want to be pushing them back into extension. You want to keep them 5 to 10 degrees bent. That is a neutral position for your knee joint, not 0 degrees, not a straight knee joint. Always 5 to 10 degrees of bent at the knee joint. Now, in case you're wondering if you can get more knowledge or tips and hacks like these, which are so simple. If you followed me for more than 2 minutes, you would realize that I always talk about simple and easy stuff that you can incorporate into your life, into your everyday activities, right? I don't want to give you any fancy solutions. The simple stuff works as well, right? And it works really well. It is quite effective. So if you are interested in a more tips and hacks and tricks. It's a world of hacks out there nowadays. So if you want more of those, feel free to join my Facebook group. It is on Instagram. You can find it in my bio. It's called My Community. And for those of you who are watching me on Facebook or YouTube, you can go over to the description and I'll leave the link there for my free Facebook group, and you can join there. Yeah, and there are lots of topics that we discuss there, this posture and these tips and hacks being one. So yeah, do that. And if you're watching me here, you are not on my YouTube, if you like what I'm talking about, you can definitely go over and subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to know every time that I have a live video going on. Alrighty, guys, I hope that was useful to you, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.